Chiefs knock out the Buffalo Bills 42-36 in overtime in what arguably may have been the best playoff game in history played before the Super Bowl, at least in our era. Uh, in my opinion, this is the best playoff game I've watched since 42, at least that I've seen. Travis Kelce scores the game winning 25-yard touchdown in overtime. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. Is this the new Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, guys? Is this it?
I sure hope so.
Johnny?
I think you're looking at it. Yeah, it's hard not to right now.
I mean, the
Yeah.
player staff.
Mahomes has got his contract, so
Allen's got his contract too.
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere. The talent around them isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, who really what other team really takes that next step?
The only other team is that you could probably just because again it's their first season, but maybe Joe Burrow, and until Justin Herbert's got to make the playoffs, you got to see what he could do in the playoffs.
Yeah,
right.
Other than that, it's really their divisions to lose.
Yeah, who else is gonna, And Josh Allen with 4 touchdowns to Gabriel Davis. He found his number 2 wide receiver now, who's on a rookie deal at a UCF. Yep. Again, credit to Joe Shane, Brandon Bean for helping find that talent, which is why I really love the Joe Shane hire. Is he's able to find these flyers in mid to late rounds, right? You got Matt Milano, young guy out of college. Nobody really knew about him. Made him into a star. Same thing with Tremaine Edmonds, right? Ed Oliver starting to come on. These guys are developmental prospects. And granted, the Bills were without Tre'Davious White in this football game. Granted, they were without him most of the season. And the reason why I picked the Bills to win this game, ladies and gentlemen, the Bills destroyed Kansas City in whatever week it was. It might have been week 6 back in Arrowhead. They smoked them in Arrowhead 38-20. And with the Bills' number 1 defense going up against a Chiefs team that was very suspect this year, I just thought the Bills had the edge in that game. I thought that was a relevant upset to call, but we got to give credit to both teams. I mean, Gabe Davis, 200 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Cole Beasley, 6 catches for 60 yards. But Steve Spagnuolo does it again. He holds Stephon Diggs to 3 catches for 7 yards, and he holds Dawson Knox to 2 catches for 9 yards. Those were the 2 most important factors he had to eliminate from the equation for the Bills offense, and he did it. I was getting texts saying, why aren't the Bills throwing to Stephon Diggs? He has to have time to throw to him. Why isn't he throwing to him? Chiefs zeroed in on him. At least that's what I saw. I don't know if you guys saw anything different. I know they really weren't showing it on the TV much, but there's no way Allen's not throwing to Stephon Diggs if he's open.
Well, that's what that's the only thing, because we talked about the play calling in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the Chiefs were suspect all year. And especially the thing that never changed about the suspicion about them was their secondary. And then you lose Tyrann Mathieu on like the second play of the game to even furthermore hurt their secondary. That's why, like, when we talk about Stephon Diggs not getting the targets, yeah, they have some good players out there, no doubt about it, in the secondary. You're a pro, you're an NFL player. I don't care. This is your best player. You got to find a way to get him the ball. Mm-hmm. You got to find it. You got to be better than that. Your game plan has to be suited around that. Now, granted, it didn't matter, and people really aren't talking about it. Why? Because when your other receiver puts up 201 yards and sets a postseason record for most touchdowns in a game with 4, nobody really cares. But at the same point in time, you got to give your best player the ball. They only targeted him 6 times in the game. He should be getting at least 10, 11 targets. And we're talking about defenses that he's gone up against. He's gone up against the Patriots and torched them. He's gone up against the Dolphins, who have a solid defense, probably 2 of the best corners in football, and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, and torched them. The Chiefs should have, I'm not saying should have been a cakewalk, and I get it. You could put double coverage on a guy and that'll eliminate him from contesting for a catch. But at the same time, 3 catches for 7 yards, you're a top 5? What do you consider Stephon Diggs? Top 5 receiver in football potentially? How do you, in a playoff game, you get 7 yards? Come on. You could do little 5-yard slants to him to get him involved. They were just too focused on potentially getting him the deep ball, the money shot. And that ultimately, again, I'm not saying that hurt them, because Gabriel Davis sure is, hell made up for it in the point section.
He scored
But
36 points, yeah.
4 touchdowns will suit you very well, but you got to get your best playmaker the ball. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what the Chiefs did offensively too, man. Like Mahomes, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 69 yards on the ground, and a rushing touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire being back in the lineup, 7 rushes for 60 yards. Tyreek Hill, 11 for 150 in a score. Travis Kelce, 8 for 96 in a score. McKinnon had over 50 receiving yards. Pringle had a touchdown. The Chiefs had 550 yards of offense against the number 1 defense in football.
Amazing.
That's not okay. Neither team had a turnover. The Bills only had 2 sacks. I mean, this was just a flawless offensive game for the most part. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much coming down to why did the Bills not squib kick it with 13 seconds left? You're going back and forth. You want to take some time off the clock and not kick it into the end zone.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Like, seconds are going to tick off the clock.
Why every last second with Patrick Mahomes is, important.
Well, now we've learned that, right?
Yeah.
13 seconds is too much time.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you know what? What if you only had 10?
This would make it work.
This is what people are saying, potentially squib kicking it. And I don't disagree with that, especially when you're looking at who's returning the football. If you looked at earlier in the game, I know it was Byron Pringle when they kicked the ball.
Yeah.
But if you look at when they were returning it to Byron Pringle earlier in the game and Tyreek Hill, they were killing them on the special teams return.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said this, and this is what I don't understand. This goes for like all football games. Why are you giving the opposing team a free 25 yards? Make them earn it. Like, aim for inside the 5, aim for inside the 10. Why are you purposely kicking it out of the back of the end zone? That's my biggest question. Make them earn those yardage. Take, 13 seconds off the clock. If he returns it to the 25, that's going to take about 5 seconds. They only got a play left in there to get into field goal range. That'll win you the football game right then and there, even though they had their 3 timeouts. Why are you giving them the immediate free 25? That's my biggest question. Squibbing it, there's some controversy with that. You could say squib it, have trust in your punter, your kicker to do it. But then you could say, well, what if it's a bad squib kick, goes out of bounds, you automatically put them at the 40?
The 40, yeah.
Then they could get into the field goal range that we thought was impossible much easier than what was suited to be. But that's my biggest plea is that why are you giving a team a free 25? Why are you giving Patrick Mahomes a free 25 yards?
Yeah. You don't even need to squib kick it. You just do a shorter kick. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've thought about that too, and I'm surprised it hasn't been talked about either. But
yeah, Johnny, what's going through your mind when all this is happening? Are you like, oh my god, like this game just won't end? Like this is like a never-ending movie that kind of just sticks with you for the rest of your lifetime, you know?
With I didn't have much of a voice this weekend to begin with, but I will say this: when watching all this, and you take this all in, this is not a dramatic thing to say this, in my opinion, 31 years on this planet. I think what we witnessed this weekend was the best weekend of sports ever. Because you think about it, what other sport does this kind of stuff that you can have 4 games like this over 2 days? Maybe March Madness, and that doesn't even come down to something like this. So, I mean, what I think we witnessed this weekend, especially even with this game, I mean, you have 25 points in the last minute 54. I mean, you could do that in Madden. Maybe not even in Madden. I mean, to have 25 points in a minute 54, it's unheard of. I think this was the best weekend, and that's why I put it out on social media, and I said it when we were doing the show. I think this weekend was the best weekend in the history of sports. And let's cherish and enjoy when we look back at it, because with everything going on right now, I mean, it was unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, if you're a Bills fan, I mean, I can't even imagine. People. I had somebody saying to me that, how would I feel about that? I was like, I wish I could have moments like that. Where last 5 years have been the worst team in football. The last 5 years. I mean, I don't know what I rather would be in, especially because we've been on the winning end of dramatic games, and we've had some losing dramatic games too. But just taking this all in as a fan, I don't know if there are enough adjectives or words to describe it, except that I think what we witnessed was the best weekend in the history of sports, and we should enjoy it. And I think what we learned also going back to Wild Card Weekend, since I wasn't here real quick, is quality over quantity.
Yep. That is a fact.
I agree. I'm just so confused why Leslie Frazier's calling again, like just bringing heat that late in the game. Don't you want to just not play prevent, but play a little, zone and just try to not let the Chiefs get into field goal range. Just keep them in front of you, And I get it; they have quick players, but man, oh man, and it kind of poses this next question. As this game did go into overtime, the Chiefs won the coin toss, went down the field, and scored. There's been a lot of controversy, and I see both sides of the argument. Should the NFL change overtime rules, specifically for the playoffs? Should both teams have a chance to possess the football? Because if we remember, a few years back, Mahomes is going up against Brady in the AFC Championship game. New England goes down and scores. Mahomes never had a chance. And the Chiefs were pissed about it then. They go down and score, and now all of a sudden they're fine. Thoughts on that?
But I don't think the Chiefs are fine, but I think it's like the whole NFL realized, and almost every fan base realized. I was on my way home talking to Nick Talks that commented earlier. I was pretty much calling the game with him, what he was telling me on the field on my way home from work, and I'm like, Chiefs are going to get the coin toss. They're going to win, march down the field, and score. Ultimately, it's the fact that the Chiefs aren't making it a big deal. The whole NFL is. And when the whole NFL is speaking out, then it's a problem. Because the fact is, this game was phenomenal. You wanted to see the Bills to see if they could do anything. And if the Bills did, great. If the Bills didn't, fine. I'd say you change it to where both teams get the ball and say the Chiefs score first, great. Bills have a chance to get the ball, and if the Bills don't score, that's the game.
I thought about that same exact thing, and I know that I'm I don't want to say the one that stirred the pot, but I know that I'm the one that posed the question in our group chat. I don't think you can, because I don't really think there's a fair way to solve it. Because people are saying, give the Bills an opportunity to get the ball back. Well, then at that point, you might as well want to lose the coin toss. I'll explain why. The Chiefs are playing 3-down football. You give the Bills back the ball, they get the opportunity to play 4-down football. Is that not an advantage? I think that's an advantage.
I mean, that's the Chiefs if they want to play 4-down or 3-down. That's their choice if they want to play those complete 4 downs.
You're absolutely right, James. But if you're a team that has the ball possession first, and it's a 3-5, you don't get the first down, you're at the 30-yard line, Bills 30-yard line, you're kicking the field goal automatically. You're not going for the touchdown because that's just smart. The Bills, knowing that they already have a touchdown, the Chiefs have a touchdown on the board, they have to get a touchdown to stay competitive. Every single drive, every single down is a 4-down drive. That's an advantage. You might as well want to lose the coin toss at that point. And that's why I don't think that you can do that. I heard people say that, you give the Chiefs the ball first, you give the Bills the ball second, and then the next score after that is what wins the game. But still, you give the Bills the ball back on that second time, it's unfair football no matter what way you look at it. I don't think that there's any fair way. And people are saying, maybe go to the college rules. And I'm not advocating for that as well because, to be honest, I think that's a fun way of playing. But in the NFL, that's how you get a lot of people hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you could do that, especially in this high of a competition, because I think as the NFL would know this, obviously on a college level, college makes a lot of money. We're talking about the NFL making big playoff games. You want your best star players playing out there. If guys get hurt because you're extending the football game that way, It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. So I don't think there's any way that you really can change it. I've heard a million different pleas, a million different reasonings for it. Unfortunately, and this may sound a little negative and a little crude and harsh, but you know what? You had 13 seconds with the best defense in football. You should have done it in regulation. I'm sorry.
That's right.
You should have done it in regulation.
Right. I totally agree with Kyle. There's no perfect way to fix this. I think the way they have it right now is the best way. It's not the perfect way, but it's the way. Because I originally thought about the college rule too, but it Kyle's right. I mean, the injury factor, this is the only way. It's not a great way. It's not the perfect way, but it's the only way.
As far as the overtime rules changing, the only thing that I personally think needs to change is the regular season going back to the old format, as in giving the teams 15 minutes instead of 10, but allowing both teams to possess the ball if one kicks a field goal. That's what I think needs to change because I'm sick of seeing ties. That's just
Wow.
my opinion. In this situation with Buffalo, yeah, you should have. Buffalo had every opportunity to win this football game, and they were unable to do so. They scored with 13 seconds left. That should have been it after they scored that last touchdown to Davis, but it wasn't. That is Buffalo's fault that they could not get the stop and win the game. This is a team sport. Part of the team couldn't do their job. Part of the team did their job, but part of the team isn't going to win. Either your whole team is going to win or your whole team is going to lose. And Buffalo put themselves in a position where it came down to a coin flip. And then your defense had a chance to redeem themselves after giving up that field goal. But no, they were granted a second chance and they couldn't get the job done. Buffalo deserved to lose this football game. I think it's okay for people to make this argument if you want to see, more proactive, both teams getting a chance. But to make this argument at Buffalo, that's not a valid argument at all. Because Buffalo, as well as they played, they deserved to lose this football game. And that's how I'm going to end it. I feel bad for Buffalo fans. I feel bad for the Bills, but all the opportunities were there, fellas. They couldn't do the job. Defensively, they couldn't do the job. They were playing from behind in the second half. They had an early lead. They blew that. If the Bills don't get themselves in that situation, we're not even talking about this. But the Bills put themselves in that situation where it came down to a coin flip, and they lost.
Yep.
That's it. Period.
Yep.
End of story.
And forget about the 13-second play as well. If you remember, the third Gabe Davis touchdown, and after the 2-point conversion, they were up 29-26 with a minute 54. Now, while that's a lot of time with 3 timeouts left, the defense in 30 seconds gave up a 64-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill to then give the Bills back and force Josh Allen to take the field and score another touchdown.
True.
Which didn't have to happen. So you could look at it that way too and say, again, best defense in football. Leslie Frazier is a great defensive coordinator. They gave up big chunk plays. Mm-hmm. And while people are also talking about letting them get into field goal range, I think that this is where you have to stand and be angry at the defense and be angry at the defensive coordinator. Is that it's not that you let them get into field goal range, but on 2 plays, you let Travis Kelce and you let Tyreek Hill beat you. You never want to let your best player, the opposing team's best player, beat you. Okay. Live with McCole Hardman, live with Byron Pringle, live with DeMarcus Robinson, live with a pass to Jerick McKinnon. Not the Tyreek Hill and not the Travis Kelce. That's what stings.
100%. You're right. We had a guest on last Tuesday, and Johnny, I'm not sure if you caught this. His name is Greg Tomset. He's the host of the Cover One podcast for the Buffalo Bills. And Greg made this prediction a week ago tonight ahead of the Buffalo Bills game. And my God, folks, if you're watching right now, prepare to be dazzled.
I think we may see, one of those all-time memorable games where it's score to score to score to score. This could be one of those crazy, 42-38 games where the last team that held the ball wins. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I certainly hope that the Bills are the ones that have the ball last.
That's amazing.
Pretty spot on, right?
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That statement was like 99.7% accurate.
Yeah.
42-38 is what he predicted. He was literally 2 points off. He was right about the team who had the ball last winning.
He was right about being in a historic game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
What a start to 2022 we've had on review and preview.
Yeah.
That's why, folks, you got to tune in every week.
Exactly.
I tell my friends even back home that I may not be on this show every week, but you still got to listen to this and watch it every week.